Alright, it's me, gonna make a video, yay! Yeah, really not in the mood though. I'm tired and sick of everything, but whatever. Nobody else is making any good videos. So anyway, there's been two subjects roaming around, this whole race, feminism thing, and then this whole who's got the right to even argue, right? And so they're sort of connected. I mean, some of the same people are connected in these arguments. It's really, I find it just so annoying. This whole argument about a few IQ points as if somehow we should change our behavior or something because of it. It's just stupid. What we respect in human beings is their capacity to feel. At least I do. I mean, I don't really give a fuck how high their IQ is. I care about whether, if they're a decent person. Of course. And there's almost this implication that IQ has something to do with decency. Like everything about IQ is a good thing. IQ is just another tool. I mean, having intelligence is another tool. A tool that can be manipulated by your evil, your nature, instead of your nurture. So I guess it's sort of related to that subject too. In that this isn't the basics of being civilized isn't really, a thick book. It's not that thick. I mean, concepts like fairness and honor and decency and all that kind of crap, not very complicated. An idiot can learn them. And the truth is, all the idiots I've ever met, most all of them, have had more of that than intelligent people. Because, I guess it takes some amount of intelligence to contrive not only a justification to be a lying piece of shit, but there's a certain art to being able to pull it off. And the people with less intelligence either don't have the art or they don't have the rationality. I mean, the irrationality, the contrived rationales of superiority and all that kind of crap. Look, the nature, it's our nature to be these istic things, the nepotism, as I said in my last video, the nationalism, the racism. It's sort of in the nature of the beast. And you just have to know a little bit about fairness to say, oh, well, that's sort of bullshit, because that's completely subjective. I mean, I can't go out into the world and judge things based on how cute they are. I mean, that's just bullshit. We know that's bullshit. Intelligence says right away it's bullshit. You don't sit there and say, I hate brine shrimp, and then hold up a picture of a brine shrimp next to everybody and say, how much do they look like a brine shrimp? And I'll treat them based on how much they look like a brine shrimp. I mean, it's just stupid. Really dumb. So, all of this is just about people trying to glorify, essentially, this nature part of us and claim some right to be natural in terms of these stupid bigotries, right? They'll accept unnatural when it comes to getting the best health care in the world, or, having a hard paint on their car or some other kind of bullshit. But, when it comes to this basic thing of how you're going to act in the world, now all of a sudden they want to be natural. Because they want to be animals, they want to be cheaters, they want to be thieves, they want to be crooks, they want to be liars, bums, and motherfucking pieces of crap. That's all it comes down to. They want. And they see something else as a threat. They can't have what they want if they have to treat it equally. That's what it comes down to. They have to think about it as an equal. They can't have what they want. Alright, so anyway, to be serious, link to this stupid video, I say. Evolution for everyone. And, it's just this hokey-pokey kind of stuff. It's an hour long. I haven't watched the whole thing. But it's just kind of ironic because this guy makes a couple of statements that just fly in the face of everything To Be Serious says. And so here's one of them.
And reproduction. Isn't it astonishing that such a theory like this can be conveyed in such a short space, less than a minute, really? In my book, I say that learning about natural selection is like having a premature orgasm. You think it's going to take a long time and lead to a tremendous climax, but then it's over almost as soon as it began.
Everybody's so witty. But anyway, the point is that this is dirt simple stuff, and it's assholes who make it complicated. Yeah, that's sort of the point, I think. So anyway, Jimmer Jammers here. I'll see if I can get to some kind of I'll just jump a little.
Or a herpetologist, you can say something about the properties of organisms just based on this organism-environment relationship. That's what it means for evolution to have this kind of transcendent knowledge. Now, based on only this, the first lecture of my class to my freshmen, I can now say, now it's time for you to think.
Okay, well, he has these 3 thought experiments. The whole transcending thing is just basically pointing out that it's the truth context kind of thing. I mean, obviously, you're just transcending fables and fairy tales and getting to reality. And like I'd argue, this guy hasn't done that anyway. So, whatever. I don't know, so he can put the title of his book, I guess, or something.
Okay, can you spell that out for me a little bit?
All right, well,
my
anyway,
students, as you did,
these islands
routinely come up after learning just an ounce about...
Okay, the big 3 environmental factors favoring infanticide. So then, okay, he basically does these 3 questions to the audience, and they all basically answer the question as he predicts about what would be the advantages of certain things, and so he lists those advantages. And the one I want to get to is this last one.
Okay, so now I hope I've accomplished my first objective of evolution as leading to transcendent knowledge. And now let me show you how I introduce the concept of evolution morality to my undergraduate students. So imagine that you were there way back then, and I ask you, please list for me the traits that you associate with moral perfection.
All right. Guess what they're going to be.
What would happen if you put a good...
All right, here we go.
What would happen if you put a good person and an evil person together on a desert island? The good person will die. I read your lips. That's right. The good person will become shark food.
That's his third one. Watch this one.
Days. And so again, simple but profound. We're making light, but this is simple but profound.
Yeah, and it's also not. Where's your sources? Where has this experiment been done? How do you prove that? Blah blah blah. You call it a no-brainer. Do you have documentation?
There is something about the traits that we associate with goodness that is inherently vulnerable to the traits that we associate with evil. Okay? This is very, very important. The second thought experiment. What would happen if you put a group of good people on one island and a group of evil people on another island, and we have the islands far apart so there's no transfer between islands? What will happen then?
Now look at this conclusion.
Speak it out. Shout it out.
Hurry up. Oh, I got to wait for him. If I push it, then I'll go past it.
Now that's where they commit infanticide.
Can't hear the audience anyway.
The good people thrive. This is not a trick question. The good people thrive. They build a boat to escape the island, or they build a little paradise on Earth, while the evil group will self-destruct. And so
there. Okay, now where did he get that from? Where the fuck did he get that from? Right? The evil group will self-destruct. No, they will enslave part of their population. All right? Like even in Aliens, this fourth one, like where the aliens to escape, they basically just kill one of their own, so the acid melts a hole in the floor, right? That's what evil will do. Evil will do whatever it takes to win, okay? It doesn't care, all right? So it'll make a boat out of 10 dead people. It doesn't give a fuck, all right? And it wouldn't really matter because they're evil, because they're on Evil Island anyway, right? So there's no real victims anyway. And what will happen on the island of good-heartedness and fairness, right? We won't make we'll try to treat everybody right, and everybody will have paid vacation and maternity leave, and he's got DSSS and she's got DDWD and he's got AW4FFF. I mean, everybody's going to have some sort of condition that means they can't show up for work today. They're not going to get shit done. But anyway, the point is...
We have very good grounds
Wow,
for accepting the biblical worldview that the universe was created out of nothing by God at some point in the finite past.
So irritating. Sorry about that.
I'll share a classic argument for creation.
All right, turn it off for a second. Oh, this stupid Lane Craig guy. Yeah, every hour I gotta listen to that shit. Anyway, gotta take Thunderfoot off the list. Okay, that should work.
That goodness is vulnerable to evil within any given social group. It is equally true that groups of organisms, not just people, but organisms, and behave in the way that we associate with goodness, will survive and reproduce in...
we associate with goodness, right? I mean, this is the tricky rhetoric. This is the whole canard of this altruism word, okay? Because they're not acting in goodness, all right? They're acting in the advantage of their own kind, okay? Them against the other them. And we've heard these lies, essentially, about how, bonobos are this, that, and the other thing. Well, it turns out, let's say there is some doubt whether the death rate for the average male bonobo is any different than it is for the average chimpanzee. That they die violently and brutally in just the same numbers, no real distinction. And that just because they play with their wieners more, these people have all just fallen for something, like it's some kind of perfect society because they have fake sex. I mean, this is just so stupid. There's nothing good about these bigotries that we have, that we give beautiful words to, like beautiful, right? Beautiful is just a bigotry. It's just a subjective, personal attachment, affection, endearment, pleasure. That's all it is. It's personal. It's entirely dictated by your life experience and has no real substantive merit. You don't get horny for things that are objectively good. Like, I don't know, a polio vaccine or something. You can like it, but you really can't love it. What we're doing in our love is saying, I'm going to care more about one thing than I'm going to care about another thing, and not for any good reason. All right, they're all bad reasons. They're bigotries. They're biases, and to call that altruism is just kind of bullshit. All right, it's handy for the group. It's handy for the family name, the family DNA, the clan DNA, the race DNA, but it has nothing to do with something high-minded, and has everything to do with something bigoted, prejudiced, subjective, narrow-minded. Okay? It's not high-minded, it's narrow-minded, and it's narrowed by some idiotic definition of cute, or pretty, or some other kind of bullshit. And so this whole thing is just a lie. The best part of us is the simple knowledge, the simple statements. Judge a man based on the content of his character. That is, can he feel? And does he have empathy? And is he trying to do the right thing? And he doesn't cheat, and he doesn't steal, and he doesn't fucking exploit and take advantage and do all that other bullshit that all our great and magnificent, successful cultures have done. Judge him based on that. And fuck the color of his skin. Fuck measuring his IQ. Fuck measuring any of this stupid shit. Because it's really quite irrelevant. I mean, we do it with nothing. I don't walk around saying which cat is cattiest, which cat has the highest IQ, or the longest tail, or the fluffiest fur. You might notice it, but you don't treat them differently because of it. It's just stupid. The substance of the animal is under all of that crap, and you're smart enough to know that. And the substance of a human is not his fucking IQ. So this is just all such a pile of shit. I mean, is it a good thing that there's smart people in the world? Yes. Should we worry about where they got their smarts from? No. beyond the fact of the stuff that we can control. We can control what gets into their brain. We can control, what's good having 150 IQ in fucking Iran, right? Because then you're just going to work for their nuclear program or something, making bombs for lunatics. So what the fuck's the point? There's no point at all. I mean, a high IQ means nothing if it's not directed. And you go back to Edison, Thomas Edison. I mean, invention is 90%, 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. There isn't even anything about IQ in there, okay? It's being able to think outside of the box, and fucking IQ that's not going to tell you whether somebody's capable of doing something that isn't programmed in them. If they haven't learned how to do it a specific way. It doesn't say anything about how their brain is able to artfully mix ideas and create something new and brilliant. So this is just all useless crap. This whole conversation is idiotic, just stupid. And on both scores, I mean, this whole idea of trying to measure humans in terms of their worth or their entitlement, or I don't even know what people are after with this stupid conversation. Like they're going to change some kind of public policy or separation or some other kind of crap. It's too late for that shit anyway because of the mixture of the races. It's just stupid. And on this evolution argument, if this is the substance of his authority, right? Well, I say, Evil Island, they all ate each other's brains. Yeah, and they failed. Well, like I said, we know the Europeans were fucking evil when they got to North America, right? They were pretty fucking evil. And they won. So, being evil will get you what you want. And it doesn't really matter whether you're exploiting evil or you're exploiting good. Evil will exploit. Period. Something like that, anyway. And the point is we're better than that. And we can be better than that, let me put it that way. And the thing that makes us better than that is a fucking few simple ideas. Judge a man based on the content of his character, not the color of his skin. Don't be a gratuitous, useless pile of shit, lying scumbag. Don't be deliberately, willfully, condescendingly exploitive. Acknowledge the trickiness of this game and playing it fairly. Yeah, try to be fair. Gee, that's a tough one, isn't it? Who could figure that out? You have to have 2060 IQ to figure out that fairness is a good thing. And isn't that the irony? There's these people who are talking about how big their fucking IQs are. And they're talking about concepts like they don't know what fairness even is. Well, there's no such thing in nature, so there's no such thing. Because nature doesn't have a friggin' 10 Commandments written on a rock somewhere. There's no value in the universe. I mean, these people are arguing about intelligence. It's like you failed so dismally. You don't even know what paper is. You don't know what fucking letters are, and you're trying to talk about language. You're fucking idiots. You haven't gotten even close to the concept. So let's play some more of this cripe.
Early biological terms better than groups who behave in ways that we associate with evil. In purely Darwinian terms.
Well, like I said, that's not necessarily true, okay? Because the good do exploit, and sometimes they exploit their own kind, like in a bee colony. All right. I mean, there's obviously most of the population is a slave to this genetics, to this queen's genetics. They're just drones being obliged to sacrifice themselves for the queen's genetics. Is there something good about that? There's nothing good about it. He uses the example of green slime. How when the time is right, like molds and funguses, it'll organize together like a sponge. The individual cells will stop being individuals, will join a colony, a little bit of chemistry will be exchanged. Some of them will be morphed into a stalk, and some will be able to release their seed. And the stalkers don't get any genetic benefit out of it, any direct genetic benefit. But obviously the indirect genetic benefit is that it's their brothers and sisters that are doing the coming. And they're holding the bed up, or whatever, however you want to metaphor the debauchery. But to call that good, to say that's a good quality, okay, that you chemically oblige something to morph into something else to perform some stupid act that is to some benefit of some arbitrary decider of benefit, and call that, well, that's good. Well, guess what? You don't have an authority for that fucking definition of good, in my opinion. And if you're going to use a word like altruism and say it's good, and then you're going to use that word and say altruism means loving your kids, well, I'm sorry, that's not altruism.
And so the third thought experiment, what will happen if you allow one evil individual to paddle over to Virtue Island? And the answer to this question is not simple. It is a messy combination of the easy answers to now two things are going.
Yeah, well, whatever. We know what it can be. We know what the potentiality is. And the potentiality is that it does the queen bee thing, that it completely exploits the rest of the island because it's willing to lie and cheat. Like a human showing up on Dodo Bird Island, right? The dodo birds don't have any built-in mechanism to protect themselves from the evil force that has now landed among them. It will consider it benign, the new visitor, and it'll get itself beaten to death with a stick. Yeah, so that would be the outcome. So I don't even think, why would this answer be, this one's difficult, and the answer to the other question, what happens on Evil Island, is somehow a no-brainer. I think it's a no-brainer that evil's going to take care of good pretty quick if good doesn't already have some kind of defense shield up against evil. Unless it has some sort of mechanism that alerts it to the liar and the cheater, some knowledge that lying and cheating exists, it's going to be fucking dead, okay? Because it's going to be sold the Brooklyn Bridge, and then it's going to be sold, shoes with springs in it that force it to jump the fuck off the bridge.
Okay, so evil beats goodness within groups. Goodness beats evil between groups, and both are going on. Now we have a conflict, basically. We have evolution going.
So it's okay for this guy to just talk out of his ass like this, and I think it is okay. But To Be Serious thinks this is how people should talk, okay? They just pull it out of their ass. He has no fucking experimental evidence to back any of this crap up, and yet this is okay, right? And what I say that she doesn't have the balls to quote isn't okay. Yeah, hypocrite much. This guy has a degree. That's the difference. And that's the only fucking difference.
That evolution can potentially explain the full spectrum of behavior, from extreme good to extreme evil. Then it becomes a useful tool for us to provide the environment in which goodness can thrive. And
like I said, goodness can thrive. I mean, this is just, this language is okay. I just don't get it. I mean, this mush is okay. I mean, goodness can thrive. I mean, thrive is a silly word in the first place because, the Nazis could have thrived if we didn't show up to save the day. Would that be a good thing? So thrive is stupid. Good is without an explanation of what is good. What is the balance of the value equation? Isn't this now a value equation? As soon as you throw the word good in here, don't we have the value equation? And aren't you going to have to explain what you are fucking valuing? And shouldn't you be valuing a little bit more than, let's just go back to the DNA molecule and ask it what's valuable. Oh, it thinks reproduction is kick-ass, so we'll just use that as the standard. So whatever gets more things reproduced is somehow good. Anything that stops or inhibits reproduction is bad. Yeah, that'll take a high IQ to do that one.
We're putting that simple idea to use right now with the talk I gave yesterday to the Beck group. It was actually about how we're putting this very simple idea to use to make our communities and our neighborhoods and our schools a better place.
Like putting up big fences and creating all kinds of little instruments to keep the nasties out. Really good stuff.
Creating social environments that favor goodness and cooperation as...
Right. Let's steal the money from people who decide not to have kids. Let's just steal all their money. Yeah, and then if they smoke cigarettes, let's steal 10 times more money from them because, they're a minority. We can kick the shit out of them politically. So, yeah, let's exploit the hell out of them. But don't tax my fucking goddamn bombs and my fucking Twinkies, okay? Because I'm a 400-pound fat ass, and, I don't want to take any responsibility for that. I want you to subsidize me. I want you to put big fat chairs on the damn airplanes and on the buses, and I don't want to pay extra for anything. I want to be able to be whatever I want to be. If I want to poop out kids or I want to eat 4,000 donuts and, you piss away $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 worth of health care, fuck you. Pay for it. Yeah, right. That's good. Yeah, that's being good. That's what all the good people do. They enslave half the population to pay for their fucking goddamn idiotic vice of reproduction.
The Darwinian strategy. Well, that was an imaginary experiment, but now I want to tell you about a real experiment. This is work done by my colleague, poultry scientist named William Muir at where else? Purdue University. And Bill Muir wanted to breed a more productive strain of hens. Hens have always lived in flocks and groups. Nowadays they live in cages, I'm sorry to report. And so both experiments involved multiple cages of hens. And in the first experiment, the most productive hen within each cage was chosen to breed the next generation of hens. In the second experiment, the most productive cages were chosen, and all of the hens in those cages were chosen to breed the next generation.
All right, so they're just selecting whatever hen happened to be in a cage. They move that cage onto the breeder dome. And in the other case, the hen actually had to produce a higher number of eggs. So now we're just going to have an argument about who gets cage number 1, right? I mean, this could have a lot of dynamics, like how did the chicken select who gets which cage, and which cage are you selecting to be the breeding cage? Oh dear.
Hens. Now you might think that these experiments are similar, and that the first one might work better because, after all, it's individuals that lay eggs. So why not pick the most productive individuals? Wouldn't it be less efficient to select the best groups, which after all might have some unproductive hens? But the results told a completely different story. We
have to see how they did this experiment because this is too many interfering, right? And the control is broken on this one.
The result of the first experiment after 6 generations. And what we see here is 3 hens, not the original 9, because the other 6 have been murdered. And these 3 survivors have plucked each other in their incessant attacks on themselves. Egg productivity plummeted over the course of 6 generations.
Well, I mean, I don't see so you keep them in confined quarters so they can pluck each other to death. See, this is where you have just a lack of control. I mean, if you're going to do an experiment, there's no point in doing it under that circumstance, because obviously the alphas are going to be more aggressive. Oh, shit. I mean, this just... And the ones who are doing something extraordinary are usually fucked up in some way. That's how come they're doing something extraordinary. It's because they're evolutionarily fucked up. So usually, mutations usually don't come in just a single mutation. Usually you have a few of them because something fucked you up, like radiation. We've done that in experiments, right? We radiate an egg and it fucks it up. Okay, so you could evolve something much quicker through that fucking up process. So obviously the chickens who are laying more eggs than normal probably have something else abnormal about them, even psychologically, and maybe you shouldn't have them forced to live in a little cage with each other. Yeah, maybe that kind of fucks the experiment.
Even though the most productive hen was chosen each and every generation. And so what happened? The most productive hens achieved their productivity by suppressing the productivity of the other hens in their group.
Well, then again, see, that's another... Now, what's the friggin' point? I mean, what is the friggin' point of doing the experiment if you're not going to, control for all these different kinds of variables? I mean, shouldn't you be judging who's the most productive by an absolute standard? Like make it, say the average hen lays 4 eggs and just count how many eggs they lay? I mean, if you're gonna count based on, well, it killed all the other chickens and they laid 0 eggs, so its 1 egg wins. I mean, that's kind of a stupid way to do the experiment, right? Because then you're not really controlling for egg laying, you're controlling for homicidal tendencies. So I guess the experiment is kind of bullshit. So this pseudoscience wins. Gary's an asshole, but this kind of crap, okay, this kind of, let's draw all kinds of erroneous conclusions from a completely uncontrolled, silly experiment. Yeah, that's just fucking, that's brilliance. That's using all your little IQ points to figure out how to do it the most efficient, clean, get to the truth as quickly as possible. Yeah, this bullshit is the way to do that. Really? Need I say more? I don't think so. Look, whatever. He's talking about evolution. Good. He likes Darwin. Good. But this is show science. This ain't real science. So, till next time. Shit.